Hello, welcome to the Snap UK. We're back, guys.
Well, some of us are.
The best ones. The best ones are here.
Exactly. So I'm here with Jim, Griff, and John. Paul is working and Gary's ill.
Gary's always ill.
He's always ill.
He is always ill.
Yeah.
By the way, he was ill at the start of the week, even though we didn't have a date set for actually when we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just ill.
He tells me it's always asthma, but I think it's because he's married.
Yeah.
Hello, Kirsty.
She doesn't listen after all.
She's not
I
listening.
just don't think he likes us
Yeah.
anymore.
What's Paul's excuse?
He's working late.
Genuinely working
He's
late.
working late, yeah.
New job, trying to
New,
impress.
new job.
Still trying to impress.
I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
really know what he does.
No, I don't either.
He just shuffles paperwork around.
Well, I think he tells other people what they do, which is a nice job to have, I think.
Doesn't he work in compliance?
Yeah.
So as long as you turn up, you've complied.
Like,
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they're not here, but we're back.
You won't see Paul now until we do the draft.
Draft,
will you?
yeah. It's going to be the draft.
So whilst we're here, Paul, we're doing the draft.
Can we book you in, please, Paul?
It's the 23rd of April, which is the Wednesday before. The draft is on the 24th of April. We're doing it on the 23rd. Come along, please. We'll pick your teams for you.
He won't miss it. The Will Greer selection special.
Exactly, yeah. Hey, he got Joe Milton.
Yeah.
You know, who's
I was expecting a slight curveball from Paul.
You are,
but
yeah.
That was like, bend it like Beckham.
Exactly, yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, it's like a Shane Warne.
What a
style.
record.
Yeah.
Do you know, one Christmas, my nan bought me the Shane Warne autobiography, but my nan's eyesight was rubbish, and she bought me the Shane Ward autobiography. I never let her live that down. I mean, I didn't have long to do that,
No.
but still,
Yes.
I didn't let her live it down that she'd done that.
Was that any good?
I haven't got who the fuck is Shane Ward anyway. I'm not like I don't know, but
He had that song.
wonderful. Moving on.
Yeah.
So
free agency has opened, and the league season officially it has begun now, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
it began yesterday, I think.
Yeah, it was yesterday. We had 2 days of legal tampering.
which sounds like my ideal kind of week, but apparently it's not that.
Effectively, within the NFL, the legal tampering starts at the combine, where everyone gets together and starts discussing deals.
Yeah, and I was saying beforehand, I haven't really been excited by this upcoming free agent class. There wasn't any huge stars, and then suddenly, like Adams is released, and suddenly I was sat in a hotel room in Madrid watching the NFL tracker come on. I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. I was sat there watching a fucking athletic live stream.
Yeah,
I should have been on holiday.
Yeah. If you have, like me, like alerts coming from Bleacher Report, it was every 20 seconds at one point. This has happened, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. I had to turn my phone off.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I don't get the joy of that at work. I can't have that happen.
It's like transfer window on steroids.
Yeah,
It's because the transfer window is rubbish.
Crap.
It used to slam shut. These days, it's like one of those ones you've got to
Yeah.
yeah.
But I do feel it's got, the NFL's got more, I don't know, what's the word? There's more action to
I think they
free
realise-
agency and exchanges than there ever were. I think you see more trades nowadays. You see
You look back to
more people just being
the
cut. And
what we were discussing a few weeks ago, the Jokic trade
Yeah.
in the NBA, and I think that's made other sports franchises in other leagues look and go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've just got to jump because everyone's come out of that as a winner, and it's rare to get that in the NFL. And now I think people are going to be more inclined. Every year, it appears that people's careers, people as coaches, their careers get shorter. We've had more coaches fired after one season in the last 5 years than we had in the previous 40 years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you might as well go for broke because you're probably not going to be in the job for
I
very long.
think you're either one end or the other, aren't you? You're in that win now, got to win, so got to take their risks. And you know what? Yeah, a 5th round pick for Devo Samuel. Fuck it, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Or you're at the other end where it's like, right, I've got all these, maybe not aging players, but certainly getting on, and we're paying them a lot. And we didn't win last year, and we've got to have a rebuild. So fuck it, let's get rid of them and try and get what we can. So I think there's no kind of, I don't feel like there's much of an in between unless you're the Dallas Cowboys and do sweet fuck all across both of them.
We're going to talk
If you're a
about
Cowboys
that,
fan,
right?
turn off now because you're not gonna lie, you've done fuck all.
The only people that can do worse out of today's podcast than the Cowboys is if Aaron Rodgers signs for the Giants while we're doing this and we just ridicule John for an hour.
I've got my Twitter feed open just in case, but hopefully
It's going to happen.
I mean, this is the most I've read Twitter in ages, so I'll probably just end up coming out
If
of
it
a
helps, right? You don't want Aaron Rodgers
No.
because you think he's a locker room cancer. Yes?
Yeah. Yes.
He's not actually as in a dramatic decline as a player as it appears.
true.
But a locker
Yeah.
room cancer nonetheless. But I guarantee you, if he signs for the Giants, he'll be really good because it fucks over the Jets, and that's what always happens. Because as shit as you are, the Jets are always having a worse time. True?
True.
Right. So it won't be all bad.
I just don't want it. But admittedly, if we have him, he'll be the most competent quarterback we've had since 2014.
Since Eli.
Oh, yeah.
The big just before the downtown of Eli. And,
2008.
well, well, we beat you again after that, mate.
Yeah. Eli only turned up for 2 games in his whole career. They just both happened to be Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we're gonna do this by team,
Alphabetical order.
alphabetical order. So we're gonna start off with the Arizona Cardinals, who. I mean, the headline here is Josh Sweat, isn't it?
Yeah.
4 year, $76 million. Linebacker, pass rusher, really exciting player. And I mean, the Cardinals need a lot still. They were feisty last year. I think they're doing all right with Gannon, and now Josh Sweat is reunited with Gannon.
Yeah. I like what the Cardinals have done in terms of they're building a roster slowly. They seem to a bit bringing in the players that want to play there, and they seem to be playing above their skill set, for want of a better word. I think Josh Sweat earned probably a couple of extra $1 million off the back of that Super Bowl performance where he pretty much dominated. Fair play to him. And I think he's just what the Cardinals needed. They needed to get to the quarterback. They needed that edge rush presence, and that's what he gives them. Now, whether he's as good, and I'd say this as a caveat for all the Eagles' defensive players that have left Philadelphia, whether he's as good without all the support across that defensive line that the Eagles had by himself now is, well, we'll find out. But yeah, fair play to the Cardinals. Like it.
They've got a lot of cap space, haven't they? So they're not in a win now situation. They can afford to take some chances with people like you can probably try and overpay Sweat.
Still got $72 million.
Yeah, like it's.
But it's one of those teams. They're not a big franchise, are they? They've not won much recently. Not even really competed recently. I mean, getting players to go there, they're going to have to pay a tax.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. Like that.
No.
That's the cycle of the NFL.
that's how it should
When
be.
you're trying to bounce back up, you've got to pay the we're not very good.
You just got to
tax.
make sure that if you are going to pay extra for that player is going to contribute and is going to be a big part of the team.
The thing is, they've also added, I think, 2 other outside linebackers in free agency. So they've added
Akeem Davis.
Gator,
Yeah.
and Michael Walker. And it's going to be much about how many players can Josh Sweat occupy to allow other players to make an impact.
Exactly.
Like, one player on a defense rarely makes a big difference, but he can. We're going to talk about a few defensive players in this where you think, okay, that is a guy that commands 2 players to block him or special schemes to block him, and you then need the other players, the lesser players, to be able to contribute. It's the Ndamukong Suh effect of, how many people do we have to dedicate to that guy? So what can we do before the others get there? I think it's a really solid move for the Cardinals, and it's way too early to grade all these things.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that it is enough in the division they're in to make a big enough difference yet.
No, But it's a division in flux, isn't it? And we'll get
I
into
was
it.
going to say that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And that's the thing. It may well be that they just have to do better than the other three rather than to do something exceptional.
Realistically, I think this is if they brought in one or two more players, they could have on paper the best team in the division.
What's their receiving core at the moment? Because they've signed Zay Jones, who
So it's
he's a sneaky good receiver.
Harrison, Trey McBride's the star, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
the tight end. But Harrison,
You've got to think Harrison will be better in year 2.
Yeah.
You'd hope so.
yeah.
I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he
No, he
just
just
didn't-
disappeared.
He just didn't live up to the hype of the draft.
no, but
First year receivers don't.
I don't
Not
know.
always.
I think first year, I think they're better. I think second year they drop off.
I don't know. I think a lot of the time, my issue always with the Cardinals is the quarterback. I don't think he's as deserving of the praise as everyone thinks. You can be great and elusive for 6 games, but if you disappear for the other 11 games, what's the point?
yeah. But yeah, it's
Move on.
some good stuff there. So Falcons. So they have got Grady Jarrett, defensive tackle.
Left.
Oh, he's released. Sorry,
Yeah.
Come on, John. Keep up.
I'm following 2 lists here. So yeah, but who are they bought? They bought Leonard Floyd, haven't they?
Brought in Leonard Floyd, 1 year, $10 million contract after 49ers released him yesterday. They've also brought in Mike Hughes, the cornerback. He's a 3-year, $18 million contract. Floyd is they need, I mean, it's like we mentioned it with the Cardinals, but the Falcons need that edge help desperately.
Well, it's like the sky is blue. You pay your taxes. The Falcons don't have an edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
That is the law of the land.
Yeah, I can't remember the last
I
good
think
edge
it's
rusher.
15 years ago. And so long I can't remember his name because I had to look it up the other week. But yeah, it's appalling. Floyd. Yeah,
what I worry about Floyd is
it's the same as bringing Judon last year.
yeah,
He was good a few years ago.
yeah.
It's too late to. It's too late.
He would be good if he was going to a team that had a number of edge rushers already, and he could just be a rotational piece. And that's what the 49ers had him as. I don't think he's the full-time edge rush that you necessarily need, but hey, who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, they've lost Grady Jarrett. They lost the centre, both of them to the Bears. Yeah, it's. So
I don't see enough positive yet.
No,
That's the problem. That's the problem.
But I do think where the Falcons are shopping, they aren't shopping early. They're going to have to wait for people to not get signed this week, wait a few weeks, and the prices to drop.
I don't understand. Oh yeah, it's Kirk Cousins, isn't it?
So yeah, they
I
are.
was just about to say I don't understand how they've only got $8 million in cap space and a rookie quarterback, but I forgot they've also got Kirk Cousins, who's eating a lot of that.
Yes, and until that's resolved, they
Kind of in purgatory a little bit.
yes, but that's the deal they made.
Baltimore Ravens.
So Nuke has come in to
See,
add
I
some
like
age.
that. I
Yeah,
like that.
I like that
They
as well.
always need more receivers.
Yeah.
They never really have an out-and-out star. Well, they rarely have an out-and-out star. And he will fit very nicely into what they're trying to do.
He doesn't have to be the big number one wide receiver there either, does he?
No, he hasn't got to do everything.
No. And I think with his catch radius and Lamar Jackson continuing to improve in the passing game, I think that's a really good match. And also he brings that slight physicalness as well to the receiver corps, which I think they're lacking a little bit.
I think the biggest signing they've made is keeping Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say.
It looked like he was. The rumours were he was about to join the Chiefs, effectively, and help shore up their left tackle position. And suddenly, the Ravens got a deal done, and which is fucking great because they need it. Once again, they've not done much, but yeah,
Sensible.
What's come in is pretty all right. Bills.
I mean, they got a massive extension with Josh Allen done.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's the big thing for them.
6-year, $330 million contract extension.
They released Von Miller.
Sensible.
Yep. Yeah, he might even come back, although with one of the other signings today, that might not be likely.
He will be.
And I wish they'd just go out and get a wide receiver, like who. Remember John Brown? Just a quick bloke. I like Shakir. I like Coleman. I like the tight end.
They signed Josh Palmer.
Yeah, it's a nice complimentary bit. But yeah, I just think they,
I can't get excited about Josh Palmer, being man, and they've given him a 3-year, $36 million contract, and I'm like,
yeah.
So what? Josh Palmer, is he?
At best, he's going to be Gabe Davis.
Yeah, at very best. But that's. I think the biggest problem with the Bills last year wasn't on offense, and it was on defense. And
so the big signing
of bringing in Joey Bosa
to effectively replace
Von Miller,
yeah.
who hopefully, if he stays fit.
I signed a $12 million deal for 1 year for 8 games.
Yeah.
So that's all he plays.
Well, that's the big if. But whether that's a him thing or whether that's a Chargers thing, because they do tend to have a lot of injuries in I was about to say San Diego, but
LA. That was a while back.
Hopefully he can. The other notable defensive signing was Greg Rousseau signing a 4-year, $80 million contract extension. Yep. Like, that's just as important.
Yeah.
Like you say, Bosa isn't going to do everything. He's going to do everything for 8 games. But Rousseau actually, for me, is a far more regularly contributing defensive.
He'll be there on 9 out of 10 snaps.
Yeah.
He creates a lot of... he's not a stat producer, is he, but he gets in
the way,
yeah.
Occupying.
I think
an
that,
occupying player.
Restructuring Ed Oliver's contract and also bringing in Larry Ogunjobi as a bit part player on the edge. Suddenly that defensive line is getting a lot better, and that's what they need. They keep losing to the Chiefs. And I think we saw it in the Super Bowl. If you've got on a defensive line like the Philadelphia Eagles who can get after Patrick Mahomes, that's your answer. So that's what they're doing. They're investing decent money into that defensive line.
Yep. No. And yeah. But yeah, Collins and not Collins, Cooper and Hollins from the wide receivers have gone.
More on that later.
So, who's next? Panthers
signed Andy Dalton to a contract extension.
I like what the Panthers are doing. Like they're a team out there, that's obviously got a bit of money, but they're not like Trevor Morrig,
that.
Get the best safety out there available. JC Horn gets a contract extension. They got
bringing Brady Christensen, the centre.
Yep,
1-year deal, $2.7 million, sensible money. Tommy Tremble, decent tight end. Like Bryce Young needs tight end help, I think, if anything.
Yeah, of course.
And Bobby Brown, defensive tackle, just adding little bits. They aren't, in a win now situation, but just keep building. You've got
I think in the NFC South,
it doesn't take much.
To be all right. Suddenly
team.
we're going to go into the playoffs. Tampa probably will go into the season as the favourites for the NFC South, but there's not that much bigger difference between them and the rest.
Yeah, and by the end of the season, the problem wasn't the offense anymore, was it? It was that you could score on them. But Morrig, Wharton, like these Bobby Brown, these players will help, effectively help right the ship, because it was fucking abysmal at the start of the season.
At the start, it ended up good.
Yeah. No, let's hope that they can take that into next year. Bears.
Right, let's spend some time here, because I really like what the Bears are doing.
I like one half of what the Bears have done.
All right, what half?
the offensive line.
Yeah.
I think they've obviously they had the tackles from previous drafts. They've traded Tunney.
Yep.
They've got Dolman at centre.
Yep.
And
Jonah Jackson
from
the Rams
as guard. Suddenly, obviously, they need to settle in, whatever, but it's just better than the sieve that was there last
You're
year.
giving your star quarterback more
Give him a
chance.
chance, yeah.
Because last year he had the skill set and the maturity to be as good as anyone else. He did not have the O-line to allow a youthful quarterback to develop. They need time in the pocket. They need to know that if I turn my back to my blind side, I am not going to get crushed. And that simply didn't happen. So this is all they could do. They had to do this. It doesn't matter what you've got out wide on offense. If your quarterback's getting crushed every other play, you're not winning many games. And that is what happened. You look how they started. They started hot, and then people thought, oh, yeah, hang on, we can just exploit this O-line. And just took them apart.
It's, yeah. And so the new head coach, Johnson, you look at it, and I kept reading about how Dolman as a centre, he's undersized. But actually what he does...
Jason Kelsey.
Exactly. What he is, he's really mobile, and that's what Ben Johnson needs his centres to be. Because,
you look at the Lions team over the last 2 years, the reason they're so good is because they've got the best defensive line in football. Yeah. And Ben Johnson's gone to Chicago and gone, right, yep, I've got, there's a decent running back there's decent wide receivers, the quarterback has got a heck of a lot of potential. What's wrong? The offensive line. And they've just gone in and gone, right, we'll bring in probably the best guard in football in Joe Tunney.
He's certainly one of the top 2 or 3. Absolutely. It makes a huge difference.
Jonah Jackson's stats for the Rams, it's difficult to gauge kind of guards really because they don't have stats like sacks or touchdowns or yards or anything. But he is one of the best guards last year in terms of his stats. It's a solid pickup. And you're right. They then solidified that by bringing in a really good centre.
Yep.
So now it almost doesn't matter who you've got on the wide receiver or running back because you've got that solid wall in front of.
Do you know who else they brought in who's gone completely under the radar, including in this conversation, but it's relevant to what you're saying. So building an O-line. They've brought in Durham Smythe, who is a blocking tight end. He's a Mercedes Lewis. And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
He can catch, but he's there to be on the end of the line making a difference. That to me says we're setting up for Caleb Williams to run. We want all the bodies, and if he then gets the opportunity to go. I think that's where they're going with this. I think they're going to want to get more play action, just more out of your star quarterback. I like what they're doing. I never say that about the Bears.
No,
I like what they're doing.
Yeah, no. Well, we said it last year, but it's almost like they were trying to run before they could walk last year.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
But yeah, Keenan Allen currently out of contract, and Mercedes Lewis gone. So we need to see if the oldest man in the league will return.
But they've still got a high draft pick.
Yeah.
They can still bring in a couple, 1, 2 really good players.
The most important thing they've got is some direction now. They've got Ben Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe he can try and coach the quarterback to not hold the ball for 5 seconds and run around like a child playing Madden. Defensively, I think I'm being a bit harsh because actually they've bought in Grady Jarrett. What I don't like is I think you've overpaid for people like Grady Jarrett. Ogbong Bing. I can't pronounce that.
No, you keep going. We've got 45 minutes left here. You keep going.
But a Dingbo,
that's close enough.
Yeah, there's certain players I think maybe just slightly overpaid, but you had cap space. You're the Bears. You're gonna have to do that. But yeah, they. Yeah, I feel for the Bears. I think they've done some really smart business. but they're in the north, and they've been.
It's going to be the toughest division.
It's going to be so tough.
It's going to be amazing.
I love it, and the league is better when these historical teams are good, and the Bears are one of those indeed. Bengals. Should we?
On the flip side,
So BJ Hill's come back.
yeah,
It's one of my favourite places to go on holiday.
Yeah. T. Higgins has got the tag.
Gesicki's back.
Yeah.
Samaji P. still there. Like, how much of this has excited you?
Well, not a lot, really.
No.
I mean, they got rid of Alex Kappa, the guard.
Don't like that.
Don't like that.
Have you got an oft-injured quarterback?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who holds him upright? The guards.
Yeah.
What should we get rid of? The guards.
Yeah.
Both of them as well, yeah, because Cody. Oh no, signed an extension for Cody Ford. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it's only one guard.
It's only one guard. Okay, that's something.
They like the Falcons are shopping in the next thing, and I don't know why, because it's not like
they've got cap space.
they're just
Well, they know they've got to pay Chase. They know they've got to
Yeah.
try and pay Higgins. But
they should have done this last season.
Yeah, but what was the biggest failing of the Bengals last year?
Defense.
Defense. And you look at who they've signed. It's, bit part players in Owen Banks, Joseph Asai, fine. No, there's no Joey Bosa there. There's no who's the defensive tackle that's gone to Patriots. Like,
Well, is it Milton
Williams.
Williams?
Williams, yeah. There's no big signing there who you can build a defense around. Like, they got rid of Sheldon Rankins, the defensive tackle. And it's like, okay, well, what? And Sam Hubbard's retired. Trey Hendrickson wants to trade out.
You can't blame him.
I mean, yeah, you absolutely can't.
Incredibly impactful player on a team that's not like they've probably had their best chance at winning the Super Bowl already. Like,
Yeah. And now there's rumours that Joe Burrow is going to start wanting out.
I don't know about that. I don't, but I've never liked the way the Bengals are run as an organisation. They're always 5 years behind everyone else.
Yeah.
I
agree. They're not good.
You've got your star quarterback. That doesn't entitle you to win. Look at Josh Allen at the Bills.
Yeah.
We always go back to Dan Marino or your Jim Kellys. But your star quarterback is entitled to have a say. And maybe they need to be listening. Like, maybe the rumour isn't true, but the fact that there's a rumour should be enough for them to be saying.
It just feels like Carson Palmer all over again.
Yeah, and what Carson Palmer did at the time, people were like, yeah, we sort of get it, but, you're contracted. And he said, well, fuck you, I'll retire. And
times have changed now. I mean, you said it earlier. There's now more trades.
Yeah.
Teams are willing to part with draft picks more.
Players are
easily.
understanding their value.
Yeah, absolutely. Power's moving to the players more so.
I can see if it does, it'll just end up like Garrett, because no one can afford the compensation the Bengals will want for Joe Burrow, even if he would make every other team in the league apart from maybe two better.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So but if it did happen, it would be the death of the Bengals. Quite frankly, as a useful force. We'll go to the Browns because they've done a little bit more. So they've fixed the quarterback situation because they've signed Kenny Pickett, Super Bowl winning quarterback. The important thing is Andrew Berry can now show his face in Cleveland again because he's got Myles Garrett signed up for
$40 million a year.
$40 million a year for the next it's a 4-year extension. Is it? Basically, he's there to the end of his career now.
Highest paid non-quarterback.
And it's by quite a bit, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It's like $4.5 million over Max Crosby.
I like the thing I liked about this was it kind of fucks over the Bengals a little bit because Jamar Chase wanted to be paid as the highest non-quarterback player.
Of course he did. Yeah. That's why you do these things early, you fucking idiots.
So fair play to the Browns for getting this done. I feel a little bit disappointed in Myles Garrett though.
Oh yeah,
a little bit.
Quite a lot.
A little bit. Like, if you make a point of having a principled stand, stick to it. Someone will make you a rich man on a better team.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
Imagine the impact that Myles Garrett has at a team like the Bucks, the Bills, like the Niners.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
the Niners suddenly look like a team desperately crying out for players like him. And yet, he's signed with a team with zero chance of success.
I was going to say, based on this quarterback situation they currently have in Cleveland, there is no chance that Myles Garrett is going to win a Super Bowl.
No. Zero
Not in
chance.
Cleveland.
Zero. Not in Cleveland.
Not in Cleveland.
And I just don't get it. Why make the point of absolutely coming out and effectively slamming the team and saying, do this for me, look what I have done for you, pulling a Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford came out and said, look, I've given everything, I really want to go. And the Lions did the right thing.
Yeah.
And you rarely used to hear that. And the Lions did the right thing and said, where would you like to go? We owe you.
Yeah.
And the Browns could have come out and said, yeah, you're right, this has been a shit show, we owe you. I tell you what this tells me. This tells me Deshaun Watson is not long in this building because Myles Garrett fucking hates him and wants out of his team.
He's not going to play next year, is he? And they've already converted 44.7 million of his salary into signing bonus.
Yeah.
They voided one of the years, which creates another 35 million in cap
and that
space.
can be the only reason.
He's got an injury. Like I said, we laugh about bringing in Kenny Pickett, but Kenny Pickett was a starting quarterback the year before last. Not a good one.
He's bad. He's not playing. But
is he better than Deshaun Watson? Probably.
At the moment he is, because
Yeah.
he's on one foot.
We know the Browns are looking Russell Wilson. We know they're looking in other places. The Browns starting quarterback probably isn't on their roster right now.
I don't think he is.
For the majority of the season. And that is the only way you get Myles Garrett to stay, because he does not want to play on a Deshaun Watson-led team, and I can't blame him. And I don't think he's the only one.
No.
So maybe the players have been told this is going to be okay, because if they've not and they've, if they don't have a plan, it's the same old Browns. It's 2017 or whichever year it was, all over again.
Yeah, no.
Browns fans don't deserve that, and the league doesn't deserve that. But you wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. So technically, Deshaun Watson's contract now lasts until 2030 with the Browns, because it's you added void years because of the it's a fucking shit show.
Speaking of which,
so the Cowboys exist.
you know what?
Solomon Thomas.
Yeah, he's
and Kevontae Turpin has signed an extension.
I want to this stat on Solomon Thomas. No, not so much on Solomon Thomas, but more on the Cowboys. Thomas is the first free agent that the Cowboys have signed who gets paid more than $6 million a year since 2015.
Fuck yeah, because they've only signed their own players and they've re-signed their own players.
I mean, to fair,
they've also signed Javonte Williams for $3 million.
Well, that's it.
Because they've luckily. Jerry Jones has found a way for me to stop drafting him in fantasy every year.
Well, they were about to run out of mediocre running backs.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah.
Jerry Jones, right, is 146 years old
and a half.
Yeah.
Well, he's
the Emperor Palpatine of the NFL, right?
He's the guy that guards... Left, yeah. You know when the indie...
the
final indie, the good indie film.
Last Crusade, yeah.
Yeah, and...
he's the guy guarding the chalice.
But yeah, if you can find the chalice when there's a Cowboys game on, it's free because, of course, Jerry's...
See, I figured Jerry was the German fella trying to drink from the Holy Grail, and then he just turns to dust and fucks off. Because that's what he looks like. He's halfway there. Yeah, he's halfway there already. Surely, Jerry's thinking... I mean, I assume in a logical world, Jerry is thinking, got to win this in the next 2 or 3 years because I'm going to be dead. And what it looks like he's thinking is, I have immortality and I can do this forever.
I think all Jerry cares about
money
is Jerry being on TV. He wants to have his press conferences. He wants to talk bullshit. He's saying, we're going to be as aggressive as last year. And so far you are.
Yeah.
Fair. Do you remember what you did last year, which was fuck all? They've lost Zach Martin. Retired.
That's a huge loss. That's a huge loss. That's not just a huge loss for the team, but on a player basis, that's a huge loss for Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
This team has taken a down tick, and if you were asked to pick right now, over under, and I know it's early, it's a stupid thing. if I told you I think the Cowboys win 7 or fewer games next year,
go under.
You'd go under.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, this is a bad team right now.
I think with the expectation that the Eagles are still going to be good,
The Commanders are going to be better, and the Giants are going to be better.
Are going to be at least competitive with the Cowboys.
If I told you I think they're finishing bottom of that division,
100%.
you'd struggle to argue it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would struggle to argue it.
You'd be
nothing.
The only argument you'd have is if the Giants don't improve.
Sure, but that's
the only argument.
There's less chance of the Giants not being better than there is of the Cowboys being better.
Yeah.
I don't think we can not improve that much because I don't know if you remember this. Daniel Jones is shit, and like
sorry, Indy.
Yeah, but yeah, like DeMarcus Lawrence is gone. Yeah, it's just mad. Quite frankly, they've converted a load of Dak's money into
a load of CD Lamb's money.
CD Lamb's money.
So they've cleared about 56 million of cap just from those two.
For no reason.
Yeah.
I can't see why. I mean, looks good, but yeah, I assume it's because
They signed Brian Anger, the punter.
Well, they're going to have to give a lot of that cap money to Parsons.
Yeah, because they have to get that done. Again, he's another one where there's rumours he'll go as well.
Well, yeah. Would you blame him? Literally. Yeah. It's absolutely mad to look at their team now, and you're like, I just don't know half these fucking players. Like, if you were to want to,
it's a nothing team.
As a fan of a good team, if you were to look to trade for a Cowboys player, you'd be going, Aubrey,
Mika Parsons,
Parsons, CD Lamb, and Aubrey are the only ones you're like, yeah, no, I'd definitely take a chance.
Diggs, cornerback.
Oh, Trayvon Diggs, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's slim pickings, isn't it?
It's bad. It's funny, but yeah,
great. I love it.
Yeah. So let's go to the Broncos.
I like the business they've done.
Yeah, I think.
Basically,
when did the Broncos turn into a well-run team?
When Sean Payton turned up.
Yeah.
When Sean Payton turned up and took over some responsibility from Elway.
Yeah, I was going to say, John Elway
like,
took it back.
John Elway is a hero,
yeah,
and rightly so. But it's a bit like the Belichick factor.
Yeah.
He actually wasn't qualified at some of the role he was doing.
Yeah.
Belichick was a rubbish GM and a fantastic coach. Elway is a great face for the organisation.
But a rubbish GM.
But he's certainly not very good with quarterbacks and blending the players.
Yeah.
Like, bits of it he's done. He's attractive as a GM. People want to go and play for John Elway. But he doesn't necessarily qualify as a good GM. No. Sean Payton comes in, and if you're John Elway, you can't help but go, yeah, Sean Payton helped me make these decisions because he knows what he's doing. And then all of a sudden it works.
Well, there's a thing as well, there's pattern, isn't there, in between?
He is the de facto GM. But yeah, it's...
but yeah, like, so Greenlaw's come in.
Yeah.
Hufanga. Yeah. Like, just...
Two really good players.
Like, two, as well, really nasty players.
Yeah.
Adding some, like, juice to that defence.
DJ Jones, a defensive tackle.
Yeah. Last year they sorted out the offensive line. Yeah. Well, 2 years ago they sorted out the offensive line. Last year they got the quarterback. Looks like this year they're sorting out the defence after... last year they had to eat crow, didn't they, because of the Russell situation.
Yeah, but now they can spend some money. Even like Evan Ingram, the tight end,
like it. There. It's what they need on their offense.
And you think about the Sean Payton offense with Jimmy Graham, with a pass-catching tight end, and you put Evan Ingram there, who's that type of player. Okay, not as good as Jimmy Graham, obviously, but
no, but he's a wide receiver playing at tight end.
Yeah. Really like it.
No, love it. I just never saw it coming. Like, remember when they lost 70-20 to the Dolphins? And you're like, well, maybe Payton shouldn't have come back. And it turns out, no, he's fucking brilliant. Lions. So Darius Smith's gone. They released him.
They've kept Marcus Davenport.
Yeah.
So that's still got that depth there. You're expecting Aiden Hutchinson to be ready for the season. I would like to see him get a bit more edge depth, just to make sure they can kind of rotate those players. But I think the big win for them is also Carlton Davis is gone, but they then brought in DJ Reed, the cornerback from the Jets, who I think is a really good player and will fit in well there.
Yeah, love it. And yeah, let's see what they do in the draft. There aren't many
I was
holes.
going to say, they don't need to do a lot.
Yeah, so we'll see what they do. Packers, not done a lot.
Really like Aaron Banks, the guard, another former 49er, 4-year contract, 77 million. That's decent.
Nate Hobbs.
Yeah, and I like the re-signing of Brandon McManus.
Yeah.
We've seen in the last few years that having a top 10 kicker makes a massive difference. And Brandon McManus is always a top 10 kicker. It's not an exciting thing to do. It's a really sensible thing to do. You're in a really tough division, and every 3 points counts. Yeah.
Bad teams generally have
4 kickers a season.
Poor kickers, and they scrimp on kickers.
Yep.
What happened when the Patriots started getting bad? Started scrimping on kickers.
Yeah.
I think it's generally a sign that your team ain't particularly very good. They reckon Jair Alexander might be on the move here as well.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Good player, but a bit of injury, bit of character issues in terms of like the big I am, which I don't think really fits in with that Green Bay team.
No, but he has been a good player. But we'll see if they can get anything for him. If that's the case, Texans.
There's a lot going on here.
So they've decided to they think
there's only one place to start, right?
Yeah. Why do they hate CJ Stroud's leg so much? So Shaq Mason's gone.
It starts with Shaq Mason.
I don't know why. Sometimes you just can't help some people.
Which is, fine. Because it's the least complicated one.
All right, okay.
Laramie Tunsil's gone for a second, a third, and
second next year,
and a fourth
next year,
and then a third and a seventh. The year? No. These are I think 2026 draft picks.
Hang on. Let's get it.
I don't have that in front of me, but losing Laramie Tunsil full stop is just a poor move.
Yeah. So traded to Washington from Houston with a 2025 4th-round pick. So it's Tunsil and a 4th-round pick. For a 2026 2nd-round pick, a 2026 4th-round pick, 2025 7th-round pick, and a 2025 3rd-round pick.
What's the point?
Anyway.
If you think Laramie Tunsil's, best days behind him, which, if you go on performance, they were.
When was Tunsil drafted? 2014?
I think. I'm just looking.
I think so. I think it was a while back.
Sounds about right.
He was drafted by the Dolphins. He was the fellow that got done with the gas. 2016 was it? Okay, a bit later than I thought, but still, if his best days are behind him, he's still the best O lineman on 12 to 16 teams. Fair.
I think that's fair.
Fair.
The knock on him was he kept going offside last year. He had loads of offside penalties, which makes you think maybe the issue isn't Tunsil, it might be the coaching and the fact that the offensive coordinator needs to buck his ideas up.
Yep.
But he can work with clinker nuts and help secure a better the new next big thing quarterback for basically fucking fuck all.
But they also let Kenyon Green go, the guard, in exchange for Chancellor Gardner-Johnson. So that's 3 of the starting O-line gone from this year.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
The O-line wasn't great last year, but you want a bit of consistency. So, yeah, I don't like that. Christian Kirk's come in. They traded for him a 7th-round pick. Meh.
Yeah.
Braxton Berrios has signed for a one-year deal, 1.8 million. Again, meh. But they've got issues at wide receiver in terms of Nico Collins is
learning to walk again.
Stephon Diggs is gone. So that leaves, who's the other one? Help me out here.
There's Nico Collins, and then
so they lost Robert Woods is the bigger one, obviously. What? I've been waiting for that. But what? Yeah, number 167 most effective receiver of the year. Irv Smith as well. I don't know. The departures outweigh what they're doing for me.
Tank
Yeah.
Dell. Tank Dell was the one I was thinking.
Oh yeah, Tank Dell. But yeah, no,
God, you can tell we haven't done this for a while.
it's just I find it absolutely maddening.
I like the signing of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I think he's a good player, and I think he'll fit in well there. But is the safety going to make a big difference?
No.
Not.
I think it would, isn't.
I brought in Derek Barnett, the defensive edge. Again, that's a bit part player opposite Will Anderson. I think is decent. So I think the defense will be good again, but I think the offense. I think they'll end up drafting an offensive lineman because I think they have to.
Well, they definitely have to now.
They signed Laken Tomlinson, who is an okay guard. Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah.
Anyway, Colts.
They signed Daniel Jones.
They've signed Daniel Jones.
They signed Daniel Jones, yeah.
Which is the most odd.
Is it?
No, I think it's quite sensible.
And why is it sensible?
Because he's like Anthony Richardson, except he can actually pass a bit better.
And also because Anthony Richardson will only start 6 or 7 games before he gets injured. I said this in the group.
You need a sensible
They
backup.
brought in an adult. He's a very unexciting, uninspiring adult, but he's an adult in the building. When Daniel Jones requested his release from the Giants last year, it was one of the most sensible things I've ever heard from a player.
Yeah.
He then went, I'm probably not going to play again this year. Where can I go and learn about myself as a quarterback? And he went to the Vikings, where they were doing great things with Sam Darnold, which is exactly what Daniel Jones is. That's where he is. I think this is a good move for Daniel Jones. I think he's looked across the board and thought, right, the Colts aren't drafting another quarterback, but where might I get a chance to start this season? And this is it. I think this is a really good move for both sides, Daniel Jones and the Colts, because now the Colts have maybe not what we'd call a starting caliber quarterback as their backup, but an experienced starter as their backup who can win games on the right team.
I think he has won 3 games in the last 2 years.
Yeah, but I'm trying to make something good out of it because I believe in it. I think this is really sensible, and we don't often see sensible. We've just discussed the Texans trading away Laramie Tunsil, and when their quarterback is broken in week 4, we'll say, "Well, we told you so."
Yeah.
But when Richardson is broken in week 4 and Daniel Jones comes in, and at worst there's no drop off in the team performance, we'll say. The Colts have done the right thing.
I don't think there will be a drop-off in performance. Anthony Richardson, probably runs the ball a bit better, but Daniel Jones actually passes the ball better.
Yeah.
I know
Not that much better.
Not that much better.
No.
But Daniel Jones can also run. Like he can
Yeah.
be. He did prove in New York he can be mobile.
He did. He remember when he ran 75 of
And then
90
tripped
yards.
over himself. Yeah.
The turf monster.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, they lost Will Fries. They've lost Glowinski from the offensive line.
They lost Ryan Kelly as
Ryan
well.
Kelly.
That offensive line is now looking really bad again.
Which when you've got, we know how fragile Richardson is, but also, do you know who's really fragile as well? Dan Jones. It's odd.
Signed Travarius Ward.
Travarius Ward I like.
Yeah.
Cam Bynum I like. At the end of the season, the Colts' defense was appalling. I
quite like Khalil Herbert as well, running back, backing up Jonathan Taylor. I know he's not,
I
not
really
exciting,
like that.
but
Jonathan Taylor's another injury-riddled player, and I like Khalil Herbert.
Yeah.
I think he was very underrated at the Bears. I really like that signing, and that's somebody that, what do they call him, a handcuff in fantasy.
Yeah.
If you get towards the later rounds and Khalil Herbert hasn't been taken, you take him because you know he's going to get starts.
Yeah. No. It's still early, but yeah, there's work to be done still in Indianapolis. But yeah, I'm being mean against Daniel Jones just because I hate
I know,
him.
and look, Daniel Jones has been rubbish, but it does work for where he's gone. So
Yeah. Yep. So Jags.
that's quick.
Yeah.
Didn't they lose Christian Kirk?
yeah,
Yep.
they traded him to the Texans.
Evan Ingram's obviously gone to the Broncos.
Yeah,
Signed Johnny Munt, tight end, and Hunter Long, another tight end.
great.
They've got Louis Rees-Sammet and John Walford.
Let me make this a much tidier conversation. Has anything the Jags done made you think the Jags won't be fucking rubbish again this season?
Fucking rubbish, but just not improved.
But they were fucking rubbish.
Yeah, right. Let's move
So,
on.
sorry, Jags, that's you dealt with.
Yeah.
Enjoy the last season of Trevor Lawrence before he kicks up and fucks off.
Yeah, I mean, he's one that if it doesn't, you could easily, similar to Joe Burrow, him go, oh, come on, guys, just fucking trade me. This is not working.
As well, like when were the Jags good? When they had Saxonville, and what was their defense like last year? It was appalling. And actually, Cisco was one of their good players, and he's gone to the Jets, so that doesn't help.
I mean, there's
and they've lost obviously Mitch Morse as well, retired from the O line. Brandon Scherf's gone. You know, it's is Cam Robinson still there?
He's part of the furniture.
No, he's gone.
Is he gone? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah.
I know you're trying to do the Jags the same service as all the other teams,
Cam
but I have
Robinson's
to
gone to
ask
Minnesota.
why.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Right.
Chiefs. So
you said Kelsey is definitely coming back.
Kelsey is coming back.
I don't like it.
Well,
I don't mind
The
it.
reason he was good in the postseason is because he wasn't used so heavily in the main season. I don't think they're going to get that luxury again this year.
so they signed Robert Tonyan, a tight end.
Sure. Okay.
Robert Tonyan was decent
Yeah.
with the Packers when he had
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, so he's got a decent quarterback. He could be decent. They've signed Marquise Brown to a contract extension, so they got him for another year. I mean, yeah,
I like it.
I like that
it.
because they barely had him last year.
He just gives them a threat, doesn't he, down the
Yeah.
field? Which,
But the big thing that they haven't done,
O-line.
O-line.
Yeah.
Like Jalen Moore, left tackle, they've signed. That doesn't excite me. But granted,
Well, they
there
don't
weren't
pay for
many
it as well, haven't
options.
they?
Joe Tooney's gone.
Well, do you know why Jalen Moore doesn't excite you? It's because he's come from the Seahawks, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Where he was the spare left tackle.
Yeah.
What is the one position that's absolutely nailed on at San Francisco 49ers? Left tackle is Trent Williams.
Yeah.
So, why do you want his backup? It doesn't excite me at all. Elijah Mitchell has come in to not be as good as he was in San Francisco.
Well, I said this on the chat, didn't I? I said, okay, good player, but running backs leaving for the 49ers are like coaching coordinators who are left Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the scheme
doesn't work.
works.
Yeah. Well, Mostert, I can think he's one, but he went to the guy who was running
the 49ers scheme, yeah.
Nick Bolton gets a new deal. But yeah, it's basically they've Mahomes and Chris Jones have converted a lot of their compensation this year into signing bonuses, so it's created
50 odd million in
50
cap
million
space.
in cap space. So, they need to go out and find some tackles because, and guards
as well. Yeah,
Tony's gone. I don't mind in a vacuum the Tony trade because get some value for him. If you don't want to give him that next contract, get some value for him.
They had to franchise tag Trey Smith. Franchise tag for a guard is 23.4 million.
Yes, because there's no difference between guards and tackles.
No, O-line is one thing.
Yeah, one thing. Yeah.
So that's expensive. But yeah.
Yes, it is.
So just so you know, Aaron Rodgers just now officially became a free agent.
And he just that
Because
It's ticking
yeah,
giants.
it could happen, John. Could happen.
I do notice every time John's phone goes off, he quickly picks it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, because Leeds are playing at the moment, I'm getting quite a lot of things. But I do keep checking in case it's fucking Rodgers.
So we're saying the Chiefs haven't really addressed any of their needs yet.
No, it's still early, but I believe they were talking to Ronnie Stanley, who then I think basically got gazumped by the Ravens.
Fair. So let's talk about a team that has addressed one of their needs in the Raiders.
So we have a Raiders supporting friend.
We've mentioned him quite frequently.
He was down on the Geno Smith trade. I really like it.
I'm not going to say I really like it because I think Geno Smith is overrated. But when you're going from Gardner Minshew and whoever the
Aidan
other...
O'Connell.
He's an
O'Connell,
upgrade on the season they've
That's
just
a
had.
massive upgrade.
He's an
Yeah.
upgrade on what they've just had.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they ever moved away from Derek Carr.
Neither
Because
do
that's,
I.
that's where you are.
Yeah.
Derek Carr and Geno Smith are not wildly different.
No, that's fair.
So
No, but do you know what Geno Smith is? He's more hardy and he is better behind a worse offensive line.
Yep.
But they have signed Alex Kappa.
Yep, which I like.
Yeah.
Sneaky one earlier as well. They obviously Moreg is gone, but they've signed Jeremy Chin as
Yeah.
the safety. who
Yeah,
I think
like
is
it.
actually really good at Panthers.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
don't skip over it, right? So are the Raiders still drafting a quarterback? Because I expected them to be one of the Shadur Sanders people throwing their hat in the ring, right, for this, because that sounds like a Raiders thing to do. Have they actually done something sensible and said, look, we've got lots of holes. Let's get someone who can hold the fort for 2 years while we build the rest of the team. And then when we draft a quarterback, they actually have a chance of being successful.
Current contract has only got another year to run.
Okay.
But that doesn't...
It doesn't preclude that from happening.
I think.
But it feels almost like a sensible move.
I think it's a sensible move. I think it gives them a couple of years in which to operate. It is it's a new GM. It's
I'm a new head coach.
new head coach.
Old
Admittedly,
head coach, though.
but
Yeah.
Does Pete Carroll want to be rebuilding around a new quarterback?
no.
No, Pete Carroll had Geno before, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if he
that's
can
what
get
I'm saying.
Geno to install a similar play scheme and work ethic with a new quarterback, his job is half done. You couldn't do anything with what the Raiders had last year. Like I don't mind Minshew as a journeyman backup. I find him entertaining, but he's no Fitzmagic. And Aidan O'Connell is rubbish.
Yes.
Is he not?
Yeah, no, he absolutely
And
is.
that always comes with the caveat of, I've never been in the top 1,000 people in my career, which all these people are, right? That's fine. But
Aidan O'Connell is rubbish.
Aidan O'Connell is rubbish. Yeah, absolutely. So they had to do something. This is a sensible something. This is very much the Pete Carroll way.
That's the problem, isn't it? Because it's the Raiders, because it's a sensible move, it's caught us off guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the Raiders don't do sensible moves, and everything so far they've done, signing Max Cosby to a contract extension, bringing in Geno Smith, Jeremy Tin, even some of the bit part players they brought in are solid bit part players.
Look at the other players they could have signed, right? If they'd have signed Darnold, we'd have said no. If they'd have signed Rodgers, we'd have gone, hell no. Russell Wilson, maybe, but I don't think their relationship...
at least would have had the Pete Carroll.
But their relationship didn't end that well, so no. Kirk Cousins, hell no.
Well, Geno Smith has the same relationship with Pete Carroll, just better.
Just better, that's it. He don't forget, that's what was happening. Like,
I like it.
I really
I like it. Anyway, we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll head to LA. Okay, welcome back. No news on Aaron Rodgers yet, so my
no news is good news, is what you're saying.
Exactly, yeah. Well, of course, what he's going to do is wait as long as possible and then announce it on Pat McAfee. So
I know he's going to announce it a minute before you make your draft pick.
Yeah, probably. Fucking bell end. Anyway, we're now in.
Just snorted his.
We're
You
now.
can see on his Hall of Fame plaque, Aaron Rodgers, fucking bell end,
Fucking bellend.
according to John Farrow.
We are now in LA. So Bosa's gone, but they've kept Khalil Mack.
Starting the Chargers, right?
Yes, well, the Chargers. Najee Harris.
I like that signing.
Yeah.
RJ Harris is sneaky good running back. 1,000
He's
yards.
not sneaky good. He's good. He's a good running back.
No, he's sneaky good because everyone's like, oh, he doesn't do anything. It's like 1,000 yards every season.
He's a good running back. I like it. But it's a bit like when James Conner started moving around the league. You kind of went, yeah, that's great. He's really good. But he's not winning you games. He's just good.
I think the biggest difference here is, A, he goes into Jim Harbaugh's run-first system. B, he's got a better quarterback than I think he's ever had. And C, he's got a better offensive line than I think he's ever had as well. I think you could be seeing big things from Najee Harris.
I'd like to. I want to be a Harris believer, but I'm not.
What J.K. Dobbins did behind that line last year.
Yeah.
What does it say about J.K. Dobbins?
He's got injuries.
See, because I thought he came back all right.
I think he
was
did
good.
as well. I think he was up there for comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that holds him back is he can't stay fit.
No. He can't be comeback player of the week every week.
Exactly.
Like J.K. Dobbins could literally be a multi-time comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
All the times he's had to fucking come back. Elsewhere, it's just more the same, isn't it? Really, for more.
They didn't need to change
Yeah.
a lot. To be
Dante
fair.
Jackson at cornerback, I think, is decent. Jalen Rager, wide receiver, is
A non-entity
a
who returns punts.
non-entity. Although almost caught the first touchdown in the Super Bowl. Let's not forget that.
I had forgotten that because that's how irrelevant he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
He happens to have a cool name. That's the best thing about him. Who was he
taking?
taken ahead of in the
Justin
draft?
Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. Ooh.
That's what he's most famous for.
Yeah. He's basically a kick returner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Good. Excellent stuff.
Yep. But yeah. Once again, it's still a bit early for the Chargers. Let's see what they do in the rest of the free agency and the draft.
Rams.
So Cooper Kupp is now released. He's put out a Twitter statement. It's all very
Amicable.
polite. You just get the feeling he doesn't want to leave. That's the thing, and it's a shame because I really like him. But yeah, elsewhere,
It's not a bad replacement.
elsewhere they have brought in, I guess, Devontae Adams, who's pretty much the same age. I think a little bit cheaper technically, and yeah, at the end of last season, you were like, "Oh yeah, Devontae Adams still got it," whereas you were like, "Cooper Kupp, yeah, no, I feel like his best days are behind him."
Devontae Adams stays fit as well.
He does, but
Cooper
as well,
Kupp is a good number 2 or number 3 receiver now for somebody
Yeah.
that will occasionally be a breakout player, a breakout game for a player. But you're not going to rely on him every week. I just don't think you can.
You know where I can see him going? Detroit.
I was about to say, yeah,
Yeah, don't mind that at all.
Line up again with Jared Goff. He doesn't have to be the man with Amon St. Brown there. He can be that number
But you
2,
know who
number
else could
3
use
receiver.
it? The Chargers that we just mentioned.
Yeah,
like
yeah, true.
yeah,
That's
put Cooper Kupp on a Justin Herbert team, and
Yeah.
for 8 or 9 games a season, he's going to be really good.
yeah.
So they've also kept Stafford. Looked like he was on
his way.
Both quarterbacks. Jimmy G is also signed to stay, which is just continuity. It keeps everything running along. Like you've got McVay and Stafford, you've got the quarterback room set. It allows the rest of the team to develop. I think it's a big thing when you keep the whole quarterback room together. I like that.
Yep. I still think they have to draft a quarterback this
I think
season,
they will.
this summer.
I think I could see them doing that in the second or third round.
Yeah.
Like
Jalen Milton or
Jalen,
something.
yeah, or Jackson Dart if he falls that
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
Well, so the other one's slow.
Yeah. Something. Yeah. There's
He's actually very Stafford-like. So
and elsewhere, Tutu Atwell gets $10 million a year.
Jokes.
As the he's the speed guy, isn't he? So, and Devontae Adams doesn't get injured, but Puka Nacua does. So let's move away from LA. Let's go to the Dolphins, who, yeah,
seems to have done quite a lot, but not done
They've done-
anything significant.
yeah.
Excite me.
I cannot.
Nick Westbrook is signed in, who only scores insanely long touchdowns.
James Daniels, the guard. I like that. Zach Wilson, backup quarterback. They've got a backup quarterback.
Woo! It's Zach Wilson though.
Yeah, but it's still an upgrade on every other backup quarterback. they've ever
Skylar
tried.
Thompson.
Yeah.
Well, it just means they aren't pitching around in the free agency bin in week 2 because they've gone, oh shit, no.
Two is concussed again.
Two has got cussed. Where's Snoop Huntley? And yeah,
But I don't like anything else they've really done.
no, it's
They renegotiated a lot of contracts to try and move cap space around.
yeah. They're one of those teams that seems to be always sort of teetering around cap hell.
Slight change of subject. Mike McDaniels, he's now on the hot seat, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah, I mean, they are still over the cap.
Hang on. Griff took a breath because I thought this would be an easy
yes. The answer is yes. The
Yeah.
answer is yes. It's one of those who's better that's available, but yes, because he's coming up short with a good team.
Yeah.
The only caveat is your quarterback's not staying fit. I was stunned when Tua came back last season. I thought he might play this season, but I was stunned.
We all were.
And if you're taking bets, I'm betting you he misses time with concussion this season.
Yeah.
And how long can you go on like that? So I think that buys McDaniel time, but you got to be winning playoff games this year.
Yeah. They've kept Hill, who, as soon as the season ended, was like, no, I'm out. And now, once again, there isn't a trade market for him.
So I don't think there is a market for him at the moment.
Unless...
That might change.
More children this year than touchdowns.
As long as he wasn't touching children, I don't care.
Jalen Phillips might be...
Don't want to follow that comment with Jaden Phillips. That's not fair on him.
No, but he might be...
He might be what, John?
He might be
what might be doing?
Might be traded away.
You feel there's got to be some room made somewhere there.
Yeah, something's got to happen.
I do think the Dolphins' Super Bowl window might have passed them.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. Yeah.
It's gone. They're approaching rebuild.
I was going to say they should be heading for rebuild stage.
But yeah, I think they're sort of in that no man's land between the good bits still in recent memory, but you don't want to rebuild whilst you've still got like Tyreek Hill. But yeah, it doesn't excite me what the Dolphins have done. The Vikings,
the winners of the off-season so far.
Yeah. Yes, effectively they are a well-run franchise, and nothing this season has maybe gone, did you know what? Yeah, I'm changing my opinion on that. They are. So Hargrave, Allen added to the defensive line.
Brilliant. Means I don't have to stack the box with loads of linebackers when I come to play Detroit anymore.
Yeah. It makes the defensive coordinator's job a bit easier, because he's really great at doing wild shit. But if he doesn't have to do the wild shit, it just makes...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
They've added Will Fries and Ryan Kelly to the offensive line.
You've got a rookie quarterback coming in, give him a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
Re-signed Aaron Jones, who...
I like that.
Yeah.
He's been productive.
Yeah. Really
Never
has.
really understood why the Packers let him go, but they got Josh Jacobs and it worked fine.
Really sensible stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about the Vikings is that they are putting all their eggs in the JJ McCarthy basket when they just had don't get me wrong, giving mega money to Darnold is not a thing I'm necessarily approving of, but to let him leave when you're moving to a rookie, when you've just had a really good season, it feels like a risk that the rest of the team isn't built for.
I think I largely agree with you. I think when you look at the contract that Darnold has got in Seattle, it's 3 years, $100 million. Let's say they've negotiated him down from a position. If you're looking to pay a quarterback $100 million over 3 years, and you've got a first-round quarterback in your back pocket,
I get it.
I don't think you can do both of those. They need to know what they've got with JJ McCarthy. And I think he now actually is probably... When you look at the rookie quarterbacks that are coming out of the draft, and if you throw JJ McCarthy into that group, because he is effectively still a rookie quarterback, he is in the best position to succeed. He's got a good offensive line. He's got probably the best wide receiver core in the league, and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. A really good defense on the other side of the ball, and a good running back as well.
Yeah.
If he can't succeed, and Kevin O'Connell's play caller, if he can't succeed here...
You can't. You just give up, mate.
You really should just give up.
Yeah. No, I it's early, but I really like what the Vikings are doing.
Yeah, I do as well.
And yeah, they have smart men in charge, Kevin O'Connell and Flores. Probably should have got a job ahead of some of the people who did. Anyway, Patriots. So, yeah, I'm just looking who you lost. Some chumps.
There was a few bits of deadwood to get rid of.
Yeah. Brissett's gone to the Cardinals.
I mean, sure, fine. He's done his job. Fair play.
Or in Josh Jobs to replace him.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
It's like for like.
Yeah.
Josh Jobs is probably the slightly better player these days.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
Joey Sly's gone. You know,
I don't mind that. He was rubbish.
he was rubbish. Jonathan Jones, basically not much.
Jonathan Jones is a good player.
But you've replaced him with Carlton Davis,
Who's a better player.
Better player, yeah.
Alongside Christian Gonzalez, by the way.
Yes, that's
is a
the thing.
great cornerback.
Yes.
That's a really good cornerback duo.
Milton Williams has come in.
Great pressure up front.
Great
pressure.
signing.
Yeah.
Great signing.
Harold Landry. Harold Landry is the one for me because we get no outside pressure. We are terrible.
Yep, he gets reunited with Vrabel again.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
You could argue it's a bit of an overpay.
It is.
But
what did we say earlier about the
Tax.
Arizona Cardinals?
Overpaid
We are
tax.
paying a tax. We've got the money to pay it, get the players in. There's been a few people say, look, the Patriots aren't going young enough. They're not long-term planning. I agree, but that is what the draft is for.
Yeah.
This free agency period, with a team that's been tapped for 3 years,
filling holes with free agency, aren't you?
you've got to go out, and if they've finished already, I'll be very disappointed because the offense hasn't really benefited yet in free agency.
I know you laugh at Matt Collins.
Matt Collins is a decent number
he's
2.
a decent player. He had a good season.
But who's
in
our
Buffalo.
number 1 receiver?
You haven't got one yet.
No, you haven't got one.
So they might be gambling on what's his name in the draft, Travis
Travis
Hunter.
He's
But
not getting to you.
I don't know. We're at number 4.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. He's not getting to you.
A
not
lot
getting you
of
to-
the drafts are saying he's coming to us. A lot of the mock drafts are saying he drops to us because it all
Yeah.
depends on the quarterbacks. If they go 1 and 2,
Yeah, then
the Giants take him.
We take him at 3.
Yeah.
not if you've moved up to take a quarterback. You don't.
We ain't moving up.
I don't know.
I don't think we do.
But
I
yes,
like your optimism, but
Yeah.
I don't see it.
But even then, you take Abdul Carter. He's a great,
Oh God, could you
player.
imagine
just
Williams and Abdul Carter there?
Yeah, just build the lines. You've got.
I'm all for building the trenches. We need a number 1 receiver.
Yeah,
it's
you
a
do.
problem.
But so we'll come into who's still available at the end.
I can't remember. Is it Ted McMillan? Who looks, I think, 6'5", can hype on the ball. Not very quick, but he's your wide receiver. I think he could easily get. You could trade down in the first round. And probably
maybe.
get him a little bit.
So Saints. They've got Chase Young. He's signed a 3-year extension. They've lost Ramchick to retirement. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams has been released. Sorry, I'm looking once again. Cut. So Derek Carr, they've converted his salary to a thing. So they've created £30 million of space with Derek Carr.
And they're still how far
Dollars.
over the cap?
No, they're under the cap now.
Okay. But they have no players left.
Not by much, but still they are. They're
No, they got 17 million in cap
17 million.
space.
Oh, good. They've got 1 player
Which
in
means
cap space.
which means they can sign their rookies, their draft.
Well, yeah,
rookies.
that's it.
They signed Chase Young to a 3-year contract.
Yeah, 3 years. It's mad.
You know when we were talking about the Jags earlier, and I couldn't wait to move on. It's the same with the Saints. It's a
Justin
poor
Reed.
team,
Justin Reed's the one I pick out. I go, that's
Yeah.
a good signing because
Great.
I like Justin Reed a lot.
and a bit like we were saying with the Browns with Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
wasting. You're not winning anything there.
Yeah, right.
You have to move on. I'm just saying,
you are right.
The Saints, it's a broken situation with, is it Mickey Loomis?
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem to want to change anything. We'll just keep kicking it down the road. And it's a team that under Sean Payton, they went to the playoff in 11 out of 13 seasons or 10 out of 12 seasons or something.
Yeah.
And have never looked like doing anything since. You know, the dirge that the Broncos were in when they went from winning the Super Bowl to just fucking off.
Yeah.
It's like that with the Saints. It's just like you've just become irrelevant as a franchise.
It's very true.
And
they're still paying for that final, effectively, Breeze contract.
Yeah.
Which took them into debt, into the depths of cap
They
hell.
never recovered.
Never recovered. And yeah, by the way, Derek Carr will probably be released next season, where he's got a 70 million cap hit. So, because he's basically come out and said, I don't want to give me I don't want to talk about restructuring. I want a contract. And they don't want to give it him. So, that's good fun, isn't it? Yeah.
Giants.
So, I was
Take a breath.
I was really pleased to see Jevon Holland get signed. Good safety.
Yeah, excellent.
We shouldn't have got rid of fucking Xavier McKinney last season. We should. This is just a correction to the thing. Paulson Adebo.
Are you also going to sign the best running back on the market?
No, we are fucking not.
That would have been a correction.
Yeah. So Paulson Adebo, I like that. Add some juice to the cornerbacks. Darius Slayton gets an extension, which is I've got no problem with that. I just don't know who's going to throw the ball to him. If anyone, are we just going to run in Wildcat with Tyron Tracy? Why not? Yeah, it's.
You don't feel Tommy DeVito is your number one?
I get the feeling Tommy DeVito isn't our number one. I mean, I still rather Tommy DeVito than Tim Boyle and Drew Lock, who we also had last year. All them gave me kittens.
Signed Darius Slayton to a 3-year, $36 million.
Yeah, I like it. I
don't mind that. I just think it's a heck of a lot for Darius Slayton.
It's market rate, though, isn't it? And he's, it's 12 million a year, 30 million. It's the same as Jacoby Myers, and I think he's potentially upside is better than that, but we just haven't had any ability to unlock it because we've had absolute chumps. So yeah, the important thing is quarterback. We don't know what it's going to be. I just don't think we're going to be able to get one of the top two in the draft because I think they're from the business that's been done elsewhere. I think they'll be going quarterbacks to Tennessee and Cleveland. Jets have got a quarterback.
Oh yeah,
Justin Fields got $40 million 2-year deal.
That's a cheap deal.
It is, but it's expensive for a guy who's going to be crushed because.
Well, I give him more chance on Rodgers in the fact that he can move. So,
But doesn't that mean he'll just be crushed running quicker?
Or no, just be crushed further down the field.
There is no two ways about it. You are better off with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you're that lucky.
No.
Oh, no?
I'm not sure. Russell Wilson came in, had an immediate bump in the Steelers, but if you look at actually both their...
Yeah, they weren't that far apart.
They're not that far apart.
But Aaron Rodgers is an arsehole. John said so earlier.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers.
Whereas Russell Wilson, less of an arsehole.
But Justin Fields is less of an arsehole as well.
Justin Fields...
And you pair Justin Fields with Garrett Wilson, who was his most successful receiver at Ohio State.
I wanted to see Justin Wilson's to Justin Fields, to the Giants. I thought that would have been a great move.
That would have been a good move. Yeah. I completely agree. But I don't mind this for the Jets, though.
No.
I like Justin Field. I think there's a quarterback there somewhere. It's never really been able to unlock it.
Cisco, I think, gives some juice to the defense.
Well, the thong song as well, I assume.
Andre Cisco.
Yeah.
Isaiah Oliver, cornerback.
Yeah. But yeah, they're in a... Once again, they fell into the trap that a lot of teams fall into of, well, we'll get the quarterback and everything else will just fall into line, and it hasn't worked.
I don't think they've got the quarterback yet. Justin Fields might be.
He's talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
Yeah.
No. But that's what I mean.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're having to row back from that.
But that's what I mean. They've got a quarterback, but I don't think they've got the quarterback.
I hope Justin Fields is successful. I really like him as well. But the situation isn't amazing, is it?
It's not great.
And I think he needs a supporting cast and a really strong head coach. And I just don't know.
I like the head coach there, but I don't know what.
I've got a feeling he's going to fall into the camp of good coordinator, bad head coach.
What was the fella at the Cardinals?
Wilkes,
Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
Feels a bit Wilkesy to me. And I don't like that for Justin Fields as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I know it's not the be-all and end-all, the quarterback, but more so than ever these days, it is that direction. And you've got to support them.
See, I like everything on the offensive side of the football for the Jets, apart from the offensive line.
But that's the
That's the
biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So they have to spend the whole draft just drafting for the trenches.
Let's see. Eagles. A lot of change.
Yeah, a lot of change.
A lot of
but
players have
Howie
gone.
Roseman has a record of pulling things out of his arse when it all changes. I'm yet to lose faith in them.
No. Yeah.
And it's not unusual for teams, once they win, to have their star players attract more money elsewhere. You can't pay everybody. It's about how they draft. Free agency is not their thing this year.
Yeah, and that's sort of where they pick on others' frailties, don't they?
Two players they did manage to re-sign though. Saquon Barkley, 2 years, $41 million, makes him the highest paid running back in the league, rightfully so. And then they kept Zach Bourne, the linebacker. Again, a great season, 3 years, $51 million. I mean, he was that heartbeat of that defense. He was brilliant.
Players they've lost. So Williams has gone to yourselves. Sweat's gone to the Cardinals. Bradbury's been released.
Darius Slay
has been released. Gardner Johnson's gone to the Texans.
There's a lot of players.
Brandon Graham, a lot of players, but there's a lot of players here who weren't automatic starters. Like Sweat, admittedly, is one of those players. Williams was a bit part, like in rotational piece, effective, but in rotational piece. Bradbury and Gardner Johnson weren't. Like they're names, but they weren't players. They weren't starters. Yeah. Slay was.
I think we're going to see a slight drop off from the Eagles. I think they're probably still the best team in the NFC East.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they're not
the
like
bar
the
isn't
Chiefs.
high.
They're not like the Chiefs where it's like, well, they're going to be Super Bowl favourites again. I don't think the Eagles enter the season as Super Bowl favourites.
No. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Becton.
Yeah.
Because he's had a real comeback year.
I think he'll stay there just on the basis that he probably knows he's onto a good thing.
Yeah. It would be if they can keep him, then I've got no worries about them being able to sort of have a very similar run next year. Steelers. They are in the same situation as the Giants. They don't know who their quarterback is.
Which is a problem.
They got a wide receiver.
But they have a wide receiver. And as long as you don't have to contested catches, he's great. Really quick. Sprinter. I'm not
one route.
I'm not a DK believer.
Neither am I. I don't see that. I listened to a podcast where they were raving about DK Metcalf. Okay, let's go through like the top wide receivers in the league and see who he's better for. And they went through like Justin Jefferson. I was like, no, he's not better than him. And there's a couple of others. And they got to like 4 or 5, and they're like, yeah, I might consider DK Metcalf over Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm like, really?
No, I wouldn't.
He's one of the best 32 receivers in the league.
Yeah, okay.
And probably
Right,
So that makes him, if you like, a number one receiver. It's just he is a limited number one receiver.
Yeah.
If you can play to his strengths, he's as good as everyone from 20 through to 32. If you don't play to his strengths, he's number 32.
You know where I would have loved to see him go was the Chargers. Because you've got Justin Herbert who can fling a ball deep.
Yeah.
And you've got DK Metcalf who can run really quickly in a straight line. That could work. A lot of this is going to depend on who the Steelers do bring in a quarterback. Because at the moment,
Skylar Thompson,
they haven't got anyone.
He's the only one on their roster, I think.
Well,
and he can't fling it 5 yards.
So Russell Wilson might come back.
For me, that's the most sensible move. Bring Russell Wilson back and draft.
Yeah.
I think because it's worked. Like, it's not amazing, but it's worked. And Tom was getting stuff out of Russell Wilson. So
he's done well at getting lots out of reclamation cases last year. Fields looked really good, and you could argue was unfairly dropped for Wilson, who did actually come in and do a decent job and fell away at the end. Mm-hmm. But that's just what the Steelers do the last few years. I mean, I think the signing of DK Metcalf just means that Pickens isn't getting a second contract at the Steelers.
Not a chance.
But
Who'd have thought when they signed Kenny Pickett and Pickens that neither of them would see through their their second contract? You didn't think it, but it's been a letdown.
if you were a wide receiver needy team, I would be maybe tempted to get on the phone to say, "What do you want for Pickens?"
Yeah,
because
He's a patchy player.
he's patchy. Yeah,
he's got talent.
He's talent, but he's also a dickhead.
Yeah, that's
Like he does some really stupid stuff.
He's like Odell Beckham, but without all of the
talent.
No, he's got the talent, but without all of the. He hasn't done anything.
I don't think he's as talented as was.
They've replaced Najee Harris with Kenneth Gainwell.
Yay!
Doesn't work for me.
No.
Kenny Gainwell is a good number 2 running back.
Yeah, he needed.
Slay comes in.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't mind that one.
But yeah, it's
They look like a team that is a bit rudderless for the first time under Tomlin, and
let's see what they do with quarterback.
yeah,
It's still
yeah,
early, but yeah.
I get that. But at some point, you have to acknowledge that coaches don't coach the same place forever. Now,
Yeah.
Belichick and what's his name, Tom Landry, and what? Yes,
They're exceptions, aren't they?
Tomlin is one of the exceptions,
Yeah.
but at some point it falls apart to a place where you're no longer relevant to put it back together. I think the decline has started.
I think it's embedded. I think we are since the Super Bowl win and since the killer bees have gone.
Since
we
Roethlisberger fell off the cliff.
Yeah,
And he became a thumb.
Are we seeing that this is the ceiling of what the modern Steelers are?
Yes.
And actually, you probably could do with a change, which is going to be frightening because that's not what the Steelers do. And it's quite comforting to have a bloke who's going to get you to the playoffs, even if what you'd get to the playoffs is nothing, because you could end up with a,
You might have to go through the pain of a dud. You might have to have your own Patriots moment where
Exactly. I'm trying to think of his name. But yeah.
Mayo. But that's okay. As long as you've got a plan and you know where you're going, that's okay. The Steelers just don't have to make that plan very often.
Yeah.
I love Mike Tomlin, and he would instantly get a job somewhere else. But that doesn't mean that you can just tread water where you are.
It might be good for him as well to have a change. Just change the situation.
Best thing the Bengals ever did, and I didn't like it at the time, was they moved on from Marvin Lewis. They went to the playoffs, 5 years out of 6 or 6 years out of 7 or whatever, but nothing was happening. And they said, well, we were rubbish before. We've been a bit better, but this isn't working. A bit like McDaniel now at the Dolphins. We were a bit shit. We've been quite a lot better, but we're still not going anywhere. Andy Reid at the Eagles.
Sometimes you just need to make that change.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Steelers are at.
Yeah,
I really do.
No, I feel more and more in agreement every year. 49ers.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on here.
They're a different looking team, isn't it?
Well, is it?
No.
Because everyone you've got rid of, I don't think is a starter, apart from Debo.
Who fell off last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to get rid of him, decent.
I was saying this on one of our chats earlier today, John. I feel like the 49ers have accepted that the previous era is over.
Yep.
And they're heading into probably a 2 to 3 year rebuild around players like Purdy, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, George Kittle might just about hang on there. There's even rumours about Ayuk getting traded. They're getting rid of a lot of older players. It's the old Brian Clough adage of they're getting rid of a couple of players probably a year too early rather than a year too late. Debo is probably in that. Juszczyk, you might say, would be in that as well. Other players like Javon Hargrave, they paid him a lot of money, didn't really do much.
No.
It's fine. We said it on chat earlier. The rumor was that they got rid of Leonard Foy because they thought they were going to sign Joe Bosa. I think that's probably true. And they got gazumped. And, all right, shit happens.
But we'll look at who else is still available. you can find other Leonard Floyds,
Yeah, absolutely.
and probably less for less money.
One of the things I think that I'm quite glad that Gary's not here because he'll probably be very negative about this. The one thing that kind of gives me a hope, positive vibe is that the 49ers have fallen into one of those organisations that seems to be really well run.
Yeah.
And that John Lynch and Carl Shannon have a plan. Just because we don't know what that plan is, we're never going to know. You don't know what people's long-term plans are in terms of teams. They've probably got a 2 to 3 year plan. Said, right, this year, right, let's aim at, obviously everyone aims to have a good draft, but let's narrow the draft, get some good solid players in into some key positions, give them this year to get some experience, and then next year add on to them again, and then also pay Purdy as well.
Yeah.
And then we're set, and we can start rebuilding around Purdy's contract in terms of like a proper quarterback contract, and we can rebuild around that.
I like it. I think as well, it's rare to have a team as talented as you had 2 years ago.
Yeah,
like you were able to pick on the fact that Trent Williams was somehow tradable from the and
McCaffrey as well. Yeah,
like these players were almost given to you on a platter, and you had a really creative head coach. I think you still got smart men running it. I don't think any of the people you've let go massive losses.
And it's pretty rare that the 49ers make big splashes in free agency.
Yeah,
they don't. Javon Hargrave was the last one they probably did and didn't really pan out.
No, and that's it's fine. But yeah, let's see what you do in the draft. Yeah. There's still plenty of time left. But yeah, I'm not particularly worried about San Francisco. But Seattle.
Have you seen who they just signed while we've been on?
No.
DeMarcus
Lawrence.
Oh, good.
A thing that we can appreciate about the Seahawks.
That. Well, it's good. Like,
quality on the defensive line.
Quality more on the defensive line, because by the end of last season, you were like, oh, the defense, like this is what the head coach was brought in. Make this defense, sing. Like, oh yeah, no, like suddenly Leonard Williams was getting Defensive Player of the Year, like noise. It was Defensive Player of the second half of the year noise, but still, he was fucking brilliant. So Gino's gone. DK's gone. Tyler Lockett's gone. So it's now Sam Darnold throwing to
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
And Marcus Valdes, Scantling, and John.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it.
I really, really was pleased for Sam Darnold last year. Like, I really think he deserved that. Deserved a bump in his career. And I'm glad he's got paid. I just don't think it's the right move for the Seahawks. Now, all goes well, and we sit here next year and go, well, that worked out really well, and he's thrown for 30 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. I just don't see it.
Do you remember when Case Keenum had that great season of the Vikings and then went to the Broncos and was shit?
Nick Foles every time he moved.
Yeah. It's exactly the same. Sam Darnold was in a great position in the Vikings. Good O-line. The biggest issue with the Seahawks last year was their O-line, and they've not done anything to improve it yet.
No.
And Sam Darnold, I keep seeing ghosts.
I don't like it.
I don't like this.
I think it's a downgrade from Gino. Gino's not the greatest quarterback, but he's a competent level quarterback. And
he's able to function without the O-line, which
Sam Darnold cannot do.
No, it feels very much like Darnold going to the Panthers.
He wasn't terrible at the Panthers.
No.
I think he might be worse. I think he left the Jets and he's built his career, and this feels like the first misstep since he left the Jets. And I really, really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I said nice.
But I just don't. I don't see it working. I think this time next year, the Seahawks are having to draft a quarterback, or they're having to trade for another quarterback.
Or just a bad year. I don't know.
Yeah, it just doesn't, like...
100 million 3 years isn't
That's
terrible,
okay. Like, that's okay.
But if you're carrying 30-odd million on the bench, I think that's then a problem.
Yeah, maybe. I don't mind it. Don't forget, he's still younger than two-thirds of the league.
He's 27.
Like, he's still got so much time to be
28.
A consistently good player. But it's a big gamble.
It is.
For both parties. Like, yes, you've got to cash in while you've got the opportunity. So for Darnold, you have to do it, but it's still a gamble. For the Seahawks, you didn't have to do it. You've saved yourself, 7 or 8 million over what Geno wanted.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it...
I was convinced DK was going to be traded from the midpoint of last season. I was just convinced. I was like, look at the contract. It doesn't make sense. And so literally when I turned my phone on Saturday morning and saw all this stuff, Seattle trade, and because you could only see the first part of the headline, I was like, oh, they must have got the DK trade. And you're like, then you look again and you're like, am I drunk? Like, why have they got rid of Geno Smith? Like, I just don't.
It seemed a very odd move.
It just seems odd, but yeah. Well, let's see what they're going to do with the rest of the off season. Bucks.
Not really done anything, but I think they had a good team anyway. They've re-signed Chris Godwin. They have brought in Hassan Reddick, which I like, and they re-signed Levante David, which I like.
Adding some age to a defense, but I like
Quality.
I like Levante David. I think he's on the downturn, but it's not like he's getting huge money anyway.
No, it's a good signing.
I like Hassan Reddick. I'm going to reserve because he hasn't played for a year. And players like that generally don't come.
I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine there. I think he'll be fine.
I think he will be as well.
But he'll probably only perform half of the time.
Yeah.
But when he does, he'll be really impactful.
Tennessee. So,
It feels like it's falling into the Jacksonville category. Go on.
Zeitler, I like. You know,
Yeah.
Who was their best defensive player? Oh, Harold Landry. They've let him go.
well, even then, like he had a down year last year. So I think,
But he was the only good thing.
but it is bad. Yeah.
I just don't see the direction. Ever since they got rid of Vrabel, I haven't understood what are they doing. Anybody think Will Levis is a decent quarterback?
Well, I don't think he'll be there. I don't think he'll be on the bench.
He'll be on the bench, but so what's their plan? Who are they going to have? Who's starting?
Ward.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much better than Will Levis is Cam Ward?
Oh, I think he's better than.
Yeah, but how much better?
I don't.
Who cares? I don't quantify
because
but
Better than Will Levis, I think.
I
not a
don't
difficult
know.
thing.
I don't know that he is. I just think they're treading water and treading water and treading water, and it's like a slow death.
I mean, the Titans have got a history of being a bad organisation. They had a blip, which was the Vrabel years, where they got good.
and of course what's his name? Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher,
Great.
yes, but they were all right. Okay,
They what's a Super Bowl? It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good.
so did the Bengals.
Yeah, they're pretty good. But yeah, like they have at least they've got Zeitler, Hans, and Moore, so they're trying to fix that line.
I think the line isn't terrible. I think the line's actually pretty decent. I think if you are a rookie quarterback going into a situation, that's not a bad thing.
If you gave that line to Sam Darnold, he'd be delighted.
Yeah, exactly. But then I don't think you got any weapons. Weapons.
Nothing. You got nothing.
They did last season. You're like, well, they can just chuck it long to Westbrook, but he's gone.
He's gone. Like, who are the wide receivers they've got? They've got signed Van Jefferson.
Yeah, and I'm
At this point, you're better off with
Who's the
Van
running back?
Morrison.
Sue Pollard. Tight end. Don't even know. Like,
There's nothing I like about this Titans team, and that's very easy to say. I get it, but you just can't put anything on paper that makes you think it's literally a race to the bottom this season between them and the Jags and the Browns again. Like there's just nothing good happening in these franchises.
I still think that there could be a spark at the Jags.
More likely than the Titans.
Because, but yeah, there's a bit. If Cohen comes in and gets his scheme working, that will help. But the NFC South is AFC South
is pretty poor.
It's pretty poor. Yeah, which is nice because it's always been poor, and it's nice to have back to normality.
that's a fair point. There's only ever been one good team in there at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any now. But yeah, last last but not least, because the Cowboys are least, Commanders.
Oh, I like everything they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're nailing it.
Yeah.
But they're an attractive destination,
Yeah,
which makes it much easier to nail free agency.
Yeah. But then they've gone and, they've done sensible things like re-signing Zach Ertz, re-signing Bobby Wagner. Right, Jonathan Allen's gone. I think that's probably the big loss. But they're trying to replace him by bringing in Javon Kinlaw and Eddie Goldman. Re-signing Marcus Mariota, I think, is sensible. And then they go and get Deebo Smith for a fifth round pick. I think it's a good, if he can stay fit and they pair him with McLaurin, I think that's great.
Yeah, I really like everything that the Commanders have done.
Yeah.
And I think they'll only continue to grow in the right direction. They're an organisation that are emerging from the darkness and suddenly becoming an actual relevant
they're the next Lions, aren't they?
Yeah.
The Lions have come from that.
They really are. Yeah.
They so outperformed their team last year. Like the team, the squad they've got, like it's got some lovely bits. Like Daniels is really good, McLaurin's really good. There's bits on the defense, but actually it's a pretty, the kids say mid team.
the kids and John.
And they lost a lot of players in. I think they lost 28 players in free agency.
But I think that's because they signed a load of players to 1 year contracts because they were a new organisation effectively.
And I think they're building. They haven't broke the bank. I mean, Debo's expensive, but
you can afford it.
You can afford it. You've got Tunsil. They are building a. As well. Pierce, the GM, drafted Debo, so obviously he's got that thing that I think we can maybe try and reclaim him. Now I like the Commanders, I think if they can keep going like this, they are the challengers to the Eagles.
Yeah, if the Eagles keep losing pieces and the Commanders keep adding them on, like they're much closer now than they were 6 months ago. Like in terms of balance between the two.
Yep, completely agree.
So
that's everybody.
It's everyone. Yep.
Do you want to name your best and worst teams before we round this up? Who's performed best in free agency so far?
Vikings
with the Commanders in second for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Who's performed worst? Give you the clue. It's the Cowboys.
Oh, I was going to throw the Bengals.
I'll grant you that they're close, but for me, for expectation alone,
as soon as Hendrickson gets traded, it will be the Bengals.
It will be the Bengals. Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so we can go on the who's available, but like people like Hendrickson, where would you see Hendrickson fitting?
Eagles.
I don't think the cap hit. Not cap thing. I don't.
They were talking about trading for Myles Garrett at one point. I'm sure they could pay Trey Hendrickson.
Not you guys.
I don't think they will at the moment. I think trading for Hendrickson is something a win now team does, and I don't think that's the 49ers. Someone else is coming to my mind and they're completely gone again.
What about the Vikings?
Yeah, I think they've got two decent Packers is a good shout. Packers is definitely a good shout.
Is he the best defensive prospect still left on the free agents list?
He's not.
Sorry,
you
expect
the
him
trade
to be
block.
the trade block. Yeah. So who's the best one left on free agency?
Matt Judon, bit old now, isn't he?
What's his pass rushing? You've got Von Miller.
I don't know if anybody's going to do that.
Judon, Preston Smith, Darius Smith.
Yeah.
Who, he didn't quite. He looked fine at the.
There's
the
nothing
Lions,
there that makes me sit up and say I wouldn't rather draft someone on the off chance they're better.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's
And on the offensive side,
Cup, Diggs, Allen, Cooper. I mean, they're all over 30, but you can still get production out of all of them.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Lockett. They're all old.
I like Tyler Lockett. He'll end up somewhere.
Cam Robinson, the left tackle. I think he'll end up somewhere. He's only 29.
Definitely.
Brandon Scherf, the guard, bit older, but bloody hell, he was a good player.
Really good player.
Robert Woods.
Yep, Robert Woods, the ever-present Robert Woods.
He's the 14th best player on the free agency.
Trey Lance.
Robert Woods is...
all I'm saying, like...
I think Trey Lance needed more time, and somebody would be wise to stash him as a number 3 and see what happens. Yeah,
you take it. I mean, if you've got no quarterback at the moment,
Giants,
like Giants or the Steelers, it's worth a flyer, isn't it?
So we've gone through, and there's a lot of offensive line needy teams. So on the offensive line, you've got Robinson, Cam Robinson, Brandon Scherf, Noteboom, Shaq Mason, Tyron Smith, Wills.
all of those players will be signed by or just after the draft because they're all really good starting caliber. But teams don't, for some reason, teams are always really reluctant to spend the money on the O-line when the drafts come in because they think, oh, well, we can draft someone who's going to be cheap for 4 years. And it very rarely works out that way. Once players like Cam Robinson are available or Shaq Mason are available, teams should be snapping them up.
I think there might be a bit of a waiting for their value to slide.
Sure.
I think we've seen the initial wave of free agency now, where I think it might be a bit of a lull.
I think this
gradually drip feed in.
The last 4 days have been as exciting as the next 5 months are probably going to be, apart from the draft.
DJ Shark.
Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus is free. But yeah,
Go ahead, sign him.
Nick Chubb.
yeah, Alan Robinson.
Like, why haven't Dallas gone to Nick Chubb?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
Because they don't do anything
You'll
sensible.
probably get him cheap because he has got that injury bug a little bit. But damn, what a
Nick
player
Chubb,
he is!
I'd love to see him back. Yeah, but yeah, there's other than that, it's
Mercedes Lewis.
Kareem Hunt actually looked pretty good in the last season.
Yeah,
but
he did.
He's available,
Yeah, teams should be snapping around him. He was really good.
but I think they will. But yeah, they'll.
Oh, here's one. Asante Samuel Jr. He was great.
Yeah,
in the
good, yeah.
Chargers.
Yeah, I like him. Be good player. Simmons, there's players like Akuda, Simmons. They'll be snapped up closer to training camp because it's a bit cheaper. Gilmore,
Crowder.
I love Crowder. But yeah, it's
Some real journeyman players.
there is some real proper journeymen, and so probably they'll be signed closer to the season starting.
I would love for the Patriots to sign either Cup or Allen.
Yeah.
Either one of those two makes us immediately better on offense. I know there's injury concerns, but for the youngsters in the receiver room, either one of those is a great leader.
I think Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
I think Cooper Cup is a great signing for anyone, realistically.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good like quick players available if you're looking for that field stretcher, which a lot of teams sort of need. But yeah, and on a quarterback, obviously, yeah, Rodgers, Lance, and then Jameis.
Jameis is going to end up starting somewhere, and I think
Starting somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. I'll tell you why. Because somebody always gets injured for the start of the season, and Jameis is going to be around because
starting somewhere at some point during the season. Or
no,
somewhere
I think
at the
week
beginning,
one, Jameis might be starting. I've got this feeling, right? Jameis is there. People don't want to spend the money on him because it's Jameis. I get that, but every year a team gets desperate just before the start of the season. And this is Jameis's year for stepping in. Now, he might be rubbish when he steps in, or he might be amazing. But I cannot see him not being on the field week one. I know it's crazy, but that's my thing. I knew there was something I wanted to bring up. And when we were talking about who the Giants are going to be starting at, like,
I'd love Jameis.
It would be brilliant if you end up with Jameis Winston as your starting quarterback. And it can absolutely happen.
I get the feeling I'm convinced now that it will be Ward and Sanders 1 and 2. So I get the feeling at that point we'll end up with, a Hunter, Carter, whoever it is. I think it needs to be offense this year. And then as well, because Hunter is also a cornerback. That's also one of our positions of need. I think we'll end up with Jalen Milroy. I can't remember how to pronounce it. Milroy. And I think we'll have a bridge quarterback for the year, which is probably going to be. I'd rather it was Winston than Rodgers.
Whoever thought you'd hear that phrase? I'd rather it was Jameis Winston than Aaron Rodgers.
I know, but at least he's not going to ruin all the thing. I'd rather it was Mason Rudolph than Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh.
That's how bad it's got.
Steady on.
I know, but yeah. Anyway,
Deshaun Watson?
do you know what? Do you know what? I think he's the one person I'd like less than Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, we'll leave it there. We'll have some weeks off before we've got to warm up for the draft, though.
I guess draft reviews, previews, and then our draft.
Yeah, it's about five weeks away, I think, the draft. So we'll come back soon. But yeah, enjoy. It'll be back sooner than we think.
Always is. My Sunday evening's very quiet.
Don't wish your life
before
away.
you go. So who's going to be presenting Red Zone?
Has he definitely gone?
No, but the rumour mill is still saying he's not signed because he's been offered to move to, and I forget which channel, and be their official Olympics presenter. And with that, he gets Sundays off, which is what he apparently is sort of after now. And I just don't know if it'd be the same.
It's just one of those things where it'll feel horrible.
It will feel horrible
first few weeks until you just
a bit like when Gary Lineker leaves Match of the Day as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But both of them, both of them
absolutely.
for the same season. I don't think I can cope with.
It's like getting a new pair of shoes, isn't it? You get blisters for the first few times you wear them, and then they're fine. You wear into it.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and it's disappointing because I love the guy. I think he does an amazing job, but change is going to happen.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah, but it would be a shame. But as well,
Could be Aaron Rodgers.
Why not?
I will stop watching Red Zone.
And with that,
but no, obviously there's no Hard Knocks this year, this off season, because of what the Giants did last year. No one wants to do it, so I think it's gone to college, isn't it? I think it's Bill.
Yeah, they're doing.
oh no, I didn't know that. No one's doing Hard Knocks this year.
Are they not doing Hard Knocks at all? That was like the off-season Hard Knocks, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they wanted
I didn't know that.
They wanted someone to do an off-season Hard Knocks, and because of
what happened
with the Giants, everyone's like,
no, there is definitely a Hard Knocks with North Carolina with Bill.
Yeah,
that's happening.
But yeah, they will have the pre-season Hard Knocks, but
traditional Hard Knocks.
But yeah, there's no off-season one because no one wants to touch it.
I mean, you fucked it up so badly.
Oh man, I mean,
it's such a bad look.
It's so bad, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. But yeah, until then, good night.
Bye.